welcome to the deep dive. It is so great to have you with us today.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us.
If you're someone who loves to pull back the curtain and, see how the future of transportation is being built piece by piece, well, you are in the right place.
Definitely the right place.
Because our mission today is to trace the complete evolution of BMW's electric vehicle technology.
Right.
We're going to journey from their highly experimental, almost science fiction-like early days right through to their ultra-luxurious present. And finally, we are going to look ahead to a massive, game-changing reboot that the company is preparing to launch in 2027.
We are essentially looking at a masterclass here. I mean, it's how a legacy automaker recognizes a shifting landscape, adapts their strategy, and eventually attempts to just completely rewrite the rules of the road for an entire industry.
To guide us on this journey, we're pulling from a really interesting pair of sources today.
Yeah, great contrast.
On one hand, we have this comprehensive retrospective blog post from an American BMW dealership out of Schererville, Indiana.
Right, which gives us that fantastic, boots-on-the-ground look at the brand's EV history.
Exactly. Their history and their current lineup from a retail perspective. And then on the other hand, we have a fresh, incredibly detailed Italian automotive scoop.
And that one leaks some highly anticipated technical specs about the upcoming Neue Klasse Electric 3 Series.
Right. And that Italian source provides a brilliant contrast to the dealership's historical overview.
It really does. It shifts our perspective from where the brand has been to the absolute bleeding edge of where they are going.
The hook for our entire conversation today, the thread we're going to pull on, is the story of a single nameplate.
The i3.
The i3. We are going to trace how the name i3 is transforming from a small, highly unconventional, eco-friendly city car into a potential 1,300 horsepower electric powerhouse.
It's a metamorphosis that really mirrors the broader growing pains and the technological leaps of the entire EV industry.
It really is.
The journey of that one specific nameplate tells you everything you need to know about the existential threats legacy automakers faced and the engineering lengths they went to in order to survive.
Okay, let's unpack this. We need to take you back to 2013.
A very different era.
The original BMW i3 drops. For anyone who remembers seeing this car on the road, it looked absolutely nothing like a standard BMW.
Not at all.
Traditional BMWs were characterized by long hoods, sleek profiles, aggressive stances.
Right.
The i3 looked like a compact, futuristic pod car that had just beamed down from a utopian city.
To understand why it looked like that, we really have to look at the business and industry perspective of the early 2010s.
Setting the stage.
Exactly. Legacy automakers were suddenly facing an existential threat from startups, most notably Tesla, who were proving that electric cars could actually be viable.
They couldn't ignore it anymore.
Right. The original i3 wasn't just a quirky eco-experiment. It was a legacy automaker realizing they couldn't just stuff heavy batteries into their existing gas cars and hope for the best.
They felt they had to rethink the entire manufacturing paradigm.
From the ground up, just to survive this transition.
But looking at it critically, was that highly unconventional design really a masterstroke?
Oh.
Because it was visually polarizing, to put it mildly.
It was.
I remember seeing the original i3 and thinking it looked less like the ultimate driving machine and more like a very fast toaster.
A faster, yeah.
A lot of automotive purists at the time thought the brand had completely lost its mind.
The styling was certainly divisive, but the engineering beneath it was born out of absolute necessity. What's fascinating here is the extreme eco-commitment of the original i3.
Right, the dealership blog details this.
The construction wasn't standard steel or aluminum. It featured a lightweight carbon fiber reinforced plastic passenger cell.
And carbon fiber is notoriously expensive.
Incredibly expensive and incredibly difficult to work with at a mass production scale.
But they did it anyway.
Because they needed that lightweight material to offset the massive weight of early battery technology.
I see.
By making the body incredibly light, they could squeeze more range out of a relatively small, heavy battery pack.
Makes sense. But the commitment to the eco-friendly narrative didn't stop at the chassis.
No, the interior was wild, too.
It wasn't just standard luxury leather and polished chrome. They used real eucalyptus wood on the dashboard.
And the leather they did use was tanned using olive leaf extract instead of harsh chemicals.
Which is just a crazy level of detail.
Even the manufacturing process itself was engineered as a statement.
Right. The dealership retrospective highlights the Leipzig plant.
Yeah, the i3 was built there using 100% renewable energy. The entire life cycle of the car, from the factory floor to the driveway, was designed to minimize the environmental footprint.
They were really trying to prove a point.
They were trying to prove to the world that a zero-compromise approach to sustainability was possible in automotive manufacturing.
But that zero-compromise approach hit a bit of a wall when it came to the actual driving experience, didn't it?
Yeah, it definitely did.
It offered up to 153 miles of range. For a city commuter in 2013, that was usable.
Usable, sure.
But it definitely induced severe range anxiety the moment you wanted to venture outside your local zip code.
That range limitation was the Achilles heel of early EVs. BMW knew it, which is why they offered a highly unusual solution.
The range extender.
Right. An optional small gasoline engine that acted purely as a range extender. It didn't drive the wheels at all.
It just sat in the back of the car.
Just sat in the back and generated electricity to recharge the battery on the fly.
Like a built-in generator.
Exactly. It was a necessary bridge technology, easing a very skeptical public into the electric era by providing a safety net for longer trips.
So it served its purpose as an early adopter vehicle.
It did.
But what stands out in the dealership's timeline is how the brand eventually pivoted away from that bespoke carbon fiber pod car model.
Right, they started electrifying their core traditional lineup.
Which is such a fast transition because the bespoke carbon fiber model simply wasn't financially sustainable for mass market dominance.
No, not at all. The i3 proved the electric technology was viable, but to achieve real scale and profitability, they couldn't just sell niche eco-pods.
They had to give the people what they wanted.
They had to give their traditional customer base the performance, aesthetics, and familiar sizing they expected, just with an electric powertrain underneath.
And that pivot is where we get vehicles like the sleek i4 sedan.
A totally different beast.
The source notes the i4 offers up to 301 miles of range. And if you opt for the M50 version, it hits 0 to 60 miles per hour in a blistering 3.7 seconds.
Serious performance.
And then you have the iX, a spacious, cutting-edge SUV designed for families who want zero emissions but maximum utility.
They basically took the electric drivetrain and normalized it.
They really did.
They proved you didn't have to sacrifice the traditional luxury car experience to drive electric, but doing so meant reverting to shared architectures.
Right.
Cars like the i4 are essentially brilliant adaptations. They're built on platforms that were originally designed to accommodate internal combustion engines.
And that inherent compromise becomes really apparent when you look at the flagship model.
The BMW i7.
The i7. The dealership blog paints a picture of staggering opulence.
Oh, it's incredible.
We are talking about a reimagined 7 Series with dual electric motors generating over 500 horsepower.
Over 500.
Up to 318 miles on a single charge. Hands-free highway driving capabilities.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it shows how EVs are moving from niche eco-cars to the absolute pinnacle of luxury and performance.
The electric drivetrain's silence and instant power delivery have essentially become the ultimate luxury features.
Absolutely. And the interior of the i7 highlights how far the concept of the automobile is shifting.
Oh, the BMW interaction bar.
Yes, a multifunctional control surface blending right into the dashboard. It replaces physical buttons with this illuminated crystalline surface.
And the rear seat experience is just wild.
The screen. Yeah.
A jaw-dropping 31-inch 8K display that drops down from the panoramic roof. You are sitting in the back of a silent 500 horsepower sanctuary watching movies in high definition.
It's wild to think about watching movies in the back of a car like that.
But it also highlights a lingering problem. As luxurious as the i7 is, it still shares its skeleton with a gas car.
Right. It still has the physical proportions.
The weight distribution challenges.
And the structural compromises necessary to accommodate a traditional engine in other versions of the same vehicle.
Which is exactly why BMW had to tear up the floorboards and start completely over for their next generation.
Exactly. Adapting gas platforms works as a transitional phase, but to unlock the next massive leap in efficiency and performance, you need an architecture designed exclusively for batteries and electric motors.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
The Italian scoop.
Yes, the timeline accelerates. The Italian automotive scoop reveals that the iconic BMW 3 Series, the vehicle that arguably defined the sports sedan category for decades, is going fully electric in 2027.
And in doing so, it's taking back the i3 nameplate.
Full circle. But this new i3 is going to be fundamentally unrecognizable from the 2013 city car.
Night and day difference.
The expert breakdown here is crucial. This is a massive technological leap.
It really is. Unlike the i4 and i5, which adapted combustion engine platforms, the upcoming 2027 i3 is built on a brand new dedicated electric architecture called the Neue Klasse.
The New Class.
Right. This means every single millimeter of the chassis is optimized purely for an electric drivetrain. There are no compromises made to eventually fit a gas tank, an exhaust pipe, or a transmission tunnel.
The technical specifications leaked in this Italian article are extensive. So let's translate some of this marketing jargon.
Sure.
BMW is introducing their 6th-generation e-drive system on this Neue Klasse platform. The source highlights a rule of thumb for this new tech: 30% more range, 30% faster charging, and 25% better efficiency compared to their current systems.
Which is a huge jump.
For you and me, that just means the motors and batteries talk to each other much more effectively, squeezing significantly more miles out of less electricity.
And to achieve those generational leaps, the Neue Klasse is moving to an 800-volt architecture.
Okay, what does that actually mean in practice?
If you think of an electrical system like plumbing, moving from a standard 400-volt system to an 800-volt system is like doubling the width of the water pipe.
Oh, wow.
It allows a massive amount of electricity to flow much faster and, crucially, with far less heat buildup.
And they're pairing that 800-volt system with entirely new cylindrical battery cells.
Right, moving away from the traditional rectangular cells.
When we talk about shifting from rectangular to cylindrical cells, think of packing a suitcase.
That's a great analogy.
Rectangular blocks leave awkward gaps and dictate the shape of the container. But smaller cylinders can be tessellated and packed tightly into the floorboard, with cooling channels woven efficiently between them.
And that tighter packaging is how they manage to lower the car's overall vehicle height,
Which improves aerodynamics.
which in turn boosts the range even further.
That combination of 800-volt architecture and denser cylindrical cells is projecting over 480 kilometers, roughly 298 miles of baseline range.
Alongside charging speeds that will exceed 400 kilowatts.
We should pause on that charging speed because 400 kilowatts fundamentally changes the road trip experience.
It really does.
At that speed, the duration of your stops at charging stations plummets. You are looking at adding hundreds of miles of range in the time it takes to walk inside, grab a coffee, and use the restroom.
The battery is finally capable of keeping up with the pace of your life.
And the efficiency in charging are impressive. But the Italian source also leaks the performance ceiling of this new platform, and it is staggering.
The motors.
The platform is designed to host up to 4 electric motors.
4.
The expected power range for vehicles on this architecture sits anywhere between 268 horsepower on the low end, all the way up to 1,341 horsepower on the high end.
Over 1,300 horsepower.
I have to admit, that 1,300 horsepower figure feels almost unnecessary for a vehicle the size of a 3 Series. How does an automaker plan to keep a car with that much immediate torque safely on the road in the hands of an average driver?
It comes down to vastly superior software and motor control. With a quad-motor setup, the car's computer can adjust the power delivery to each individual wheel hundreds of times a second.
Giving it perfect grip.
Exactly, providing levels of traction and stability control that mechanical differential systems simply cannot match.
But the standard versions won't have all that power, right?
Right. The source notes that the standard versions of the new i3 badged as the i320, i330, and i340 will utilize single-motor rear-wheel drive or dual-motor all-wheel drive setups.
Sitting closer to the 300 horsepower range.
Yeah. That 1,341 horsepower ceiling is being engineered specifically to accommodate future high-performance M Division variants.
It is an incredible engineering flex.
Huge flex.
But it's not just the powertrain that is getting an overhaul. The design language is undergoing a total revolution, too.
The aesthetics.
The Italian source references the Vision Neue Klasse concept car, which previews the aesthetic direction.
It is a fascinating pivot for the brand. Over the last several years, their design language has been heavily scrutinized.
Especially the grills.
Yes, specifically regarding the ever-expanding size of their front kidney grills.
The era of the maxi grills seems to be coming to an end.
Thankfully.
The Neue Klasse is moving toward a highly minimalist, almost retro-futuristic look. They are ditching the recent era of maxi kidney grills for smaller, thinner ones integrated cleanly into the front fascia.
The overall lines of the car are much simpler, too, stripping away all the unnecessary visual noise that has really cluttered modern car design.
They're keeping the brand heritage where it counts, though.
The Hofmeister kink.
Yes, the source confirms they are retaining traditional elements like the Hofmeister kink in the window line, that iconic forward-leaning angle at the back of the rear window that has defined their vehicle profiles for decades.
It's a deliberate strategy to look backward to their golden era of clean proportions in order to package their most forward-looking technology.
And while the exterior is practicing restraint, the interior sounds incredibly advanced.
Oh, the interior innovations are wild.
The Italian Scoop mentions they are pushing boundaries inside the cabin with augmented reality projections displayed directly onto the windshield.
AR on the windshield.
Instead of looking down at a standard dashboard cluster, the driver gets a panoramic display stretching from one side of the cabin to the other.
The source actually compares the setup to the sprawling digital canvas found in the new Lincoln Nautilus.
Right. Your entire lower field of vision becomes a customizable interactive display.
And interestingly, tying it all back to that very first 2013 i3, the source notes that the Neue Klasse vehicles will once again make extensive use of highly sustainable materials in the cabin.
Bringing back the eco-conscious philosophy.
Exactly. The eco-conscious philosophy of the original experiment is returning, but this time it is seamlessly integrated into a hyper-advanced mass-market platform.
So, what does this all mean? We've covered a lot of ground today, from carbon fiber experiments to 800-volt architectures and panoramic screens. But why does this massive shift to the Neue Klasse matter for the person actually buying and driving these cars?
It matters because it fundamentally alters the economics of luxury car ownership.
The real financial benefits.
Right. Beyond the thrill of driving and the environmental impact of reducing greenhouse gases for anyone doing the math, this transition addresses the notorious depreciation and maintenance curves that have historically scared people away from owning aging German luxury cars.
The dealership blog really drives this point home. The operating costs of these electric vehicles are significantly lower.
Electricity is generally much cheaper than the premium fuel required by high-performance gas engines.
But the real structural change is in the maintenance. EVs have fewer moving parts, meaning reduced maintenance.
Exactly. An electric motor operates with a fraction of the moving parts found in a complex internal combustion engine.
No oil changes.
No spark plugs to replace, no timing chains to stretch, and no multi-gear transmissions requiring expensive fluid services.
The long-term financial drain of keeping a highly tuned gas engine running simply disappears.
And when you combine those maintenance savings with the potential for ongoing government tax credits and rebates, the barrier to entry for a premium vehicle continues to drop.
Furthermore, the biggest historical barrier range anxiety is essentially solved.
The rapid expansion of DC fast chargers.
The dealership points that out. When you pair a robust charging network with a vehicle like the 2027 i3 that can accept 400 kilowatts of power, these high-tech vehicles are becoming incredibly practical for daily life.
We are reaching the tipping point where the electric option is no longer chosen just for environmental reasons. It is becoming the objectively better option across metrics of performance, cost of ownership, and daily convenience.
Just to recap the incredible journey we've charted today, we started over a decade ago with a 153-mile range carbon fiber pod car that smelled like eucalyptus wood and needed a tiny gas engine just to alleviate driver panic.
A humble beginning.
We watched the brand adapt to the mainstream, stuffing batteries into existing architectures to create the blistering i4 and the rolling cinematic luxury of the i7. And now we are looking ahead to the 2027 Neue Klasse i3, a car armed with an augmented reality windshield, an 800-volt charging system, and a dedicated platform capable of handling up to 1,341 horsepower.
And according to the Italian Scoop, this isn't far off conceptual vaporware.
Prototypes are already being assembled right now in the Munich factory.
With full-scale production slated to begin in the second half of 2026, the next era of automotive engineering is currently moving down an assembly line.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought derived from our sources. Tucked away in that dealership blog is a brief mention that development doesn't stop with the Neue Klasse.
They are actively developing the next holy grail of EV tech.
Solid-state batteries. These are power cells that promise massively increased energy density.
Meaning more power in a smaller space.
And with even lower charging times than the advanced lithium-ion cylindrical cells we just discussed.
That technology will shift the paradigm yet again.
It really makes you wonder, if the 2027 i3 is already boasting 400 kilowatt charging and a potential 1,300 horsepower using current lithium-ion technology, what kind of mind-bending performance are we going to see when solid-state batteries finally hit this exact same Neue Klasse platform?
It's almost hard to comprehend.
We might be looking at a near future where a 5-minute charge gives you 500 miles of range in a sedan that can outrun a supercar. The ceiling hasn't just been raised, it has been completely removed.
Absolutely.
We want to explicitly and warmly thank you for choosing to spend your time learning and exploring with us on this deep dive. Our goal is to make sure you always walk away with a clear, comprehensive understanding of how these complex technologies are reshaping our world, and your curiosity is what makes doing this so rewarding. Keep asking questions, keep looking ahead, and we will catch you on the next one.